What is up, lovely people? Welcome back to Blueprint Japan. My name is Osan, and before we start, a couple of updates regarding the analytics. So overall, it's been exactly a month. We have reached just about 100 plays on Spotify, 10 hours of consumption, and 22 followers on Spotify. I think that's a pretty, those are some serious numbers. Thank you so much, everyone, for the support. And if we look more closely, we have overall impressions 517. I believe that could be higher. I don't know how Spotify's algorithm works. However, we do have 190 people reached, and then 29 people who showed interest, and 17 people who consumed. I don't know exactly how that works, so I'm still new to this, to the Spotify platform. But anyways, it's working. I'm really happy, so thank you so much. And if we're looking at the audience, now we are getting a bigger picture. So 28 to 34-year-olds is the biggest group, and then 23 to 27 young people, which is good. I gotta be careful. So I just, put out valuable content, good content. Pay attention to my language. And then we do have some 34 to 44-year-olds and a bigger chunk of 45 to 59-year-olds. Nice. 60% male, 30% female, and then the rest is non-specified. Location: Japan, United States, South Korea, Singapore, Switzerland, India, United Kingdom, Russia, Germany, that's a new one, Australia, Turkey, Taiwan, Bulgaria, and Italy. Insane. Speechless. So happy. I do get some comments. By the way, so I'm planning to do these like Q&As. So if you have any questions about me, about Japan, about whatever, so kind of like, getting a followers Q&A, I'm happy to answer questions. Anything visa related, Japan related, whatever that is, please do let me know. So that was it for the analytics. And in today's episode, I want to talk about something that has become increasingly more important to me in my own life, especially lately, and that is solitude. And by solitude, I don't mean isolation, I don't mean loneliness, but really the intentional act of stepping away from the noise, from input, and from like all the things that constantly demand reaction. And there's this quote I found online by an American novelist. Her name is Anne Lamott. At first I thought it's a French name. It's probably not. I thought it was like Anne Lamott, but that's not gonna work. I traced her family tree, her origin, and her dad was born in Tokyo but is American. Kenneth Charles Lamott, or I don't know if he'll ever live in Tokyo, but could be Kenneth Charles Lamotto. Yeah, I can't take that one right now. And so she said almost everything will work again if you unplug it for a few minutes, including you. And that kind of stuck with me. And obviously there are tons of quotes online, and you can almost for anything that you want to find, there is a sentence that will suit that. So yeah, I'll just go with that one, because you see, and I mean this in the best sense possible, I did spend too much time around the wrong people, have had too much of just unnecessary conversations, did spend time with too much meaningless content, and lived up to the wrong expectations, and sometimes even, my own expectations. And so that basically led to me losing the ability to hear my own voice. And I believe that is exactly where, solitude begins. It's kind of like where clarity begins. It's the space where nothing else should be expected of you. No roles, no titles, no pressure to perform. And when you get to that point where you finally sit down with yourself and start to notice that, that your mind is cluttered to an extent that that affects your decisions, your habits, your routines, that's when I believe you should start to begin to declutter. And so that's what today's episode is about. And I wrote this small paragraph, and I got this concept from modern wisdom. And it goes like, I think solitude is where clarity begins. Not in the sense of isolating yourself or escaping from people, but in creating space where nothing is expected from you. When you are constantly surrounded by input, by people, by messages, by meetings, you start to react instead of act, instead of thinking. And the danger with that is you can go months or even years like that without realizing that you are off course. Solitude gives you the chance to actually listen to your own voice without the noise. It is where you can observe yourself, your habits, your thoughts, and even your own BS without judgment, just by being aware with your own awareness. And the more time you spend there in that domain, in solitude, the more you can reconnect with you started in the first place. And so for me, it is not about being alone. It's more about coming back to myself so I can move forward with intention. And so this part, you start reacting instead of acting and thinking. That is really dangerous. Because you kind of like, you start moving on autopilot. And you don't realize how much you drift away, how far off course you have gone, because you stop listening to yourself. And it's a very fast and very easy way to get like trapped into, that path. If you just don't spend time with yourself. And obviously, there will be some days where you just come home and have nothing else to do. But then first thing that most of us do is like watch Netflix, go on YouTube, scroll on our phones, or like call friends, call family, which is okay, which is part of being human, being us. But sometimes, like, I wonder what would we do if we didn't have access to all of these tools? If we didn't have a subscription, in fact, I don't have a Netflix account. I don't share a Netflix account with anyone. Um, I am not on Instagram for like the past. I think I stopped using Instagram like just after COVID or before, just when I got here, I think. And and so a huge like chunk of our time would be freed up. So think about it. Normal, say you work 9 to 5, and I did that back in Switzerland. I don't do that in Japan. Say you wake up at around 7, 6 or 7, you get ready, you have breakfast or coffee, whatever. So you go to work, and then it's 8, 9. You work until 4 or 5. You get home by 6, 7. Majority of people would eat something and then turn on Netflix. That's like, I can confidently say that's how it is. And then from say 7 until bedtime, it's like the TV is constantly on, or something is going. You just go like, oh, I want to watch one episode that goes 45 minutes. And then all of a sudden you watch 3 episodes, 4 episodes. And I think that's very dangerous. And for example, what I'm doing right now, and maybe that's just something I need to kind of like find back to myself. So I go to bed by 9:30. So I set myself an alarm at 9. I go to bed by 9:30, and I usually fall asleep by just before 10. I think. I don't think it takes longer than half an hour. And I would wake up between 3:30 and 4. If you think just by the time, it sounds insane, but it's like same if you go to bed by 12 and you wake up at 6, that's exactly the same amount of sleep that, you would get. But the difference is from 3:30 to 4, say from 4 to 8 a.m., those 4 hours, I don't get to reply to any emails, any messages. Almost everyone is asleep. From 4:35 to 5:36, I will go to gym, come back home, take a shower, get ready, have my first coffee, I don't know, by 8 or something. And then like I have still the entire day in front of me. And I think that's a huge superpower to have. If you go to bed early, if you wake up early, and you do something for yourself, that can be going for a walk, can be doing yoga, going to fitness, reading something, journaling, just something for yourself, like that alone will lead you to have more clarity and more space in your life for other things. And trust me, if you do that, and on top of that, you have a fully productive day or your 9 to 5, you will be exhausted by 8 p.m., 8:30 p.m. And then maybe you take a shower. Again, you relax a bit, or you watch one episode of something. By the time it's like 9:30, 10, you will be like, you will pass out 100%. And so that's what I have been doing. It has been helping me quite a lot. I do have more focus. And I'm not like, by no means, I'm not saying this like any like YouTube influencer or like, you know, motivational speaker. That is something that we all can do, some easier than others, depending on your own life circumstances. You know, in my case, I don't have kids. I don't have any responsibility. I don't have a dog that I need to take care of, any pets. I am self-employed. And so majority of my time, in fact, all of my time, I just get to schedule myself. So I believe you can optimize your schedule and your life by quite a lot just by going to bed a little bit earlier and using and sleeping the same amount. Like, don't go to bed by 9, 10 p.m. and then wake up at like 7, 8 a.m. That's not the point. It's really utilizing that free space or time that you have to do something for you that you enjoy, that can help you with self-improvement and self-growth. Because, and I talked about this with a friend, like sleep, the average person I think sleeps like 8 hours or like 7 hours, or is in bed for 7 hours, probably more. A third, and if a day has 24 hours, 1/3 of your life is just spent sleeping. And look, I am a huge believer that we don't need 7 to 8 hours of sleep to function. Like, we are, just by nature, we used to be hunters and needed to protect, our families. So I don't think, it doesn't seem reasonable to me that we used to sleep 7 to 8 hours or 9, 10 hours. And I think it's a habitual thing where if we do it one day and then the next day and then a third, fourth day, our bodies just get like used to it and we can function that way. That might be an unpopular opinion, I don't know, but that's what I think and that's what I believe in, and that's what has been helping me thus far. And so that is also where you start to declutter, because you get more time. And so with more time, you go like, okay, what can I do? So you start to think about what you need to prioritize. But in order to do that, you need to free up space and declutter. It's like cleaning your desk. In my case, when I clean my desk, I move away everything, like my plants, my screen, my keyboard, my microphone, cups, everything. And then I clean my desk, and then I place all those items again. And some of them I don't even need. Like if I have some paperwork, some documents on my desk, or like a camera that I haven't used for like a week, that's going away, just to get some more clarity and, free up some space. And by doing so, you not only free up physical space, but also psychological space in your mind. And you start noticing all the thoughts that drain you, the habits that no longer serve you. That is so powerful. The stories that you have been telling yourself out of fear or comfort. And in that process, you start reconnecting. Not with a new version of yourself, but with the version that kind of got buried under everyone else's expectations, but can come back with more clarity, with more learning. And so for me, the more time I spend in solitude, the more I also enjoy being with myself. Now, that doesn't mean I shouldn't spend time with my friends, with my people. But realizing that that is actually a powerful shift, because when you get to a point where you start to enjoy your own company, you stop searching for distractions. I can promise you that. You stop searching for, some people want external validation or constant input. Like, when was the last time you ate something, you had a meal by yourself without watching something, without listening to a podcast, to music? Like, if you're listening to this while eating, don't. Enjoy your meal. And so when you start enjoying your own company, I think that's the first step of self-growth. You do become more self-sufficient. And I mean that emotionally, mentally, and spiritually. And then from that place on, you can move forward with clarity. You do have more intention. And you also do have a deeper sense of peace. Like, you know what you want and you know what you don't want. And then you start, cutting out all the other crap that you see online. You actively choose not to be part of that dialogue. And I feel like, being in solitude, that is such a superpower. I just completely forgot. Because when I came to Tokyo, I was like, okay, what do I do? So I started working for myself, reaching out to people, because I needed to survive. I needed to make some money. So you don't have the luxury to prioritize yourself because you need to survive. But once you get to that point, same with, if you are going through a breakup, if you are moving places, whatever that is, like, there has to be a change in your life. There has to be a radical shift in your lifestyle, in your life, so that you can actually realize that again and start listening to yourself again and start working on yourself again. And so this weekend, for example, after a long time of not renting a car, not driving away, I did rent a car and I drove away. I think it was like 2 hours up north, a little bit further than Saitama. And like, small things, seeing the sunset, taking time for myself, with myself, by myself, sitting at a cafe outside of Tokyo, new surroundings, new environment. And I enjoy driving cars in Japan. It's so peaceful if you are not driving in Tokyo. I was like, man, that's the reason, like, this is why I came to Japan, because I wanted to have my peace, because I enjoy being in Japan and feeling that safety and that, that calmness. I just got to, like, relive that again. And so that was kind of like a reminder. I was like, man, I do need to spend more time just like doing stuff that I like. And now look, that like the last 6 weeks, I think, have helped me go to gym again, have a routine. Like I was never someone that would wake up at like 3 in the morning. No chance. I went to bed pretty late, like 12, 1, and then I would wake up between like 6 and 7. So 5, 6, 7, 5 to 6 hours of sleep was always enough for me, even as a kid. I don't think I have ADHD. Maybe I have, maybe we all have. Maybe we all are on a spectrum. But like I was never hyper. And I was never like too, what's the word, mellow. That was enough for me. And now I've been doing this, like going to bed 9:30, falling asleep around 10, waking up 3:34, enjoying sunset and sunrise in summer in Tokyo. And it really is like, the land of the rising sun. It gets so hot in summer. Like 5 a.m., it is hot. I don't want to lie. It's probably like 28 degrees, 30 degrees even. So when I cycle to Anytime Fitness, like I'm sweating. And yeah, that has helped me getting, finding my routine, getting a healthy habit back, and just starting my day having that part already out, like already done. So I've already journaled, I've already went to gym, took a shower, and then can start my day, can have calls and, plan my day, can do some meal prep. Like that's when my day starts. And so if you are in the same stage of your life, if you are, going through some changes, going through some shifts, let me know. Happy to have a conversation. But yeah, long story short, do try to spend more time in solitude. I promise you it will help you. It will help you no matter where you are, no matter what you do. And so, yeah, again, the most beautiful part is the more time you spend in solitude, the more you learn to enjoy your own company. That's it. You stop needing all those distractions. And again, this podcast, like I'm not doing this for anyone but myself. But along the process, if I can document my thoughts and my journey and help someone who is going through the same process or change, or wants to, or needs someone to like have a discussion, conversation with, that's what gets me happy. And so, yeah, feeling okay of just being who you are not. That is a next level skill, power, superpower. And you can just show up with more presence, and then you move forward. Again, not on autopilot, but with intention. And so, yeah, before I babble on for too long, thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode gave you some kind of like, clarity, or was a reminder to spend more time with yourself. Yeah. Thank you so much for joining Blueprint Japan. Stay curious, stay humble. Osan, let's go.